Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brendan Lee with Consciousness and Skill Worldwide, founded by Peter Ralston. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk to you about racism. Now, I don't want to talk to you in the same ways that most people talk to you. I want you to use this video as a consideration, not as a statement of fact. I want you to take a look into some things. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is let's consider, so there's all this stuff. It's year 2020, a whole bunch of stuff about racism that I see in the media. But I want to know what racism is. What is it? Or I want to invite you to consider for yourself what it is. So what is racism? What is this business? Now, at first blush, it maybe looks very straightforward. Well, there seem to be accusations happening. Well, you're racist. No, you're racist. No, this is racist, and that's racist. And then so we recognize accusations from others to other people about this something called racism. Now, I can imagine perhaps some of the things people say might be starting to say at this point is like, here's where this video is going. I know where it's going. I know what he's going to say, and I either agree with it or I don't agree with it. That is the wrong place to be. I want you to stay present with what we're working on here, rather than jumping to a future conclusion. Save it for after. Okay, so we've got recognized others pointing at other people saying you're racist. We have people protesting racism. We have call-out culture, and we have social justice warriors who are fighting for calling other people out for being racist. Okay, being racist. We still have racist, this thing racist. We have a lot of people upset. We have a lot of other people who maybe ambivalent. I don't know. What are the stats? I don't know. I didn't count every person in the United States. I don't know exactly what's going on. I am told things by the news media. Racism. It still doesn't answer the question of what it is. So what is it? Well, let's look into it again. I've seen Texans be racist against Mexicans. I've heard Dutch people be racist against Hungarians. I've heard United States people be racist against Polish people. I've seen white people be racist against black people. I've seen, at least we've got Nazis who slaughtered Jews. If that's not racism, I don't know what is. We've got, I should have done my history homework. I'm sure there's racism. There's racism everywhere. People in Vermont don't like people from Massachusetts. They call them massholes. Now, I don't know that that's regarding race, but it's still in the same department. Because they're from another state, they're not seen the right way. Or I don't know what people say about Vermont people. They're flatlanders. You see, if you live in the Northeast, they're flatlanders. And people in south of Vermont probably have some other stuff about Vermont. Probably hicks or rednecks or something. I don't know. Right? Now we've got... So anyway, you get the idea? So pull up every single instance of racism or categorizing other people, and then it's like, because you're from over here means that you're a masshole. Because you're black means you're, that. Okay, because you're a Mexican means this. If you're Polish and I'm whatever, it means this about you. And there seem to be, so there's components of like deciding that people are a certain way because of, well, in racism, I guess it's the color of their skin or a certain race. Or, like Chinese people are supposed to be good at math, but they're also shitty drivers. Or women are bad drivers. Or, you see, now I'm not, I'm kind of dicking around here. But I want you to notice instances, I would call all of those examples of racism of some kind. Or maybe sexism. I guess if we're to get more nuanced with the deal, I suppose that racism has to deal with particular race. Right? If it's racism, it's about somebody of a certain race. So what are the races we have? We have, here we go. I can imagine probably politically incorrect speech. It's like we got white people, black people, Asian people, Mexican people, Indian people, Japanese, Chinese. Like these are the races. Russian, I don't know. And then all kinds of mixed interbreeding, Aboriginal, Inuit, all these races. It still doesn't tell us what racism is. See, now racism seems to be a form of prejudice. Prejudging a human being, so prejudging a human being based on their race, based on the color of their skin, based on where they're from, based on, conservatives or my libertarian friends, they have stuff about the social elites, and they don't like the social elites, and the socialists hate the bourgeoisie, and the Antifa hate Nazis. And you see, so there's all this prejudging human beings. So it seems like we're getting closer here. Prejudice. Prejudge this. Okay? But based on race. But it still doesn't tell us what it is. Because it's prejudice. But what is it? What is it? What is this racism, prejudice thing? How does it? There's what we hear about it. There's a definition of it. But what is the experience? What is the actual experience of this racism or prejudice? What's the experience? Not what do we think about it. Or, you see, even more importantly, I do believe people have confused their reactions, their personal reactions to racism with the racism itself, you see? It's racist and I'm angry. It's racist and I'm hurt and sad. It's racist and I do it, I'm going to shove it down. Those are reactions to something, again, racism. So then what is it? Experientially, not conceptually. Now, what I notice about racism is that a prejudge, like a prejudice, shows up. First of all, where is it? Where is the racism? Where does it actually exist? Where does it exist? We cannot buy racism at Walmart. We can't buy it at Starbucks. We can't buy it anywhere because it doesn't have objective qualities. There's no object that is racism. So when we say, well, it's in the person, okay, maybe we're getting closer. Okay, there's racism, you see, because we notice, I've seen stories where some people are racist, and then I've seen stories where some people are racist, and then they stop being racist. And usually what they say is, I stopped hating somebody else. I have seen interviews with, a couple of ex-neo-Nazis, and they realized they grew up that way, they learned this way of thinking, and then they hated these other people because of the color of their skin, and at some point they realized how much they were hating and hurting, and they stopped. Okay, so that's leading us somewhere. So wait a minute, so that means racism can stop, and racism has to do with the human being who's doing the racism, the one who has having the thoughts, the one who is seeing the world this way. So where is it? You see, where is the racism? We say, well, it's inside the person, but we got to be really careful because when we say that there's actually something there or something that's inside them, we don't know, because have you ever opened up a human skull? There's brains in there. I've never opened one up. I hear tell there's brains in there. I've seen pictures. There's brains in there. There's no racism in the physical object that is there. However, so they're like, okay, well, it's in their mind. Yes, this is much closer. It is in the mind of the person doing the racism. And more importantly, there does seem to be a component of the prejudice. So this is I think one place where people are probably missing the power, or what's going on. An aspect of what's going on is the racism itself dominates the sight perception. Let's see. It's harder to see this in action. When a racist person looks out and they see, let's say, I don't know, whatever, they're racist against Chinese people. They look out, they see a Chinese person, and they don't see a person. They see a Chinese person and then bad, or whatever sort of filter they've got. Boom, it just smashes right on top of them, and the very sight perception that they're using to apprehend reality is affected. This is why it's challenging. One reason why it's challenging. So we have a preset judgment, like as if a prejudice of somebody else based on their race, and it dominates perception itself. You will even hear what they say in relationship to this thought, that because they have a certain race, that means certain things. You will see them in relationship to that. You will think about them in relationship to that, and that will be your world, and that will be fixed and solid, and it will appear real. These seem to be legitimate components of racism, how it functions. So we have something that doesn't exist in the objective world. We say it's inside the head, but it's not actually in there, and yet it dominates the perception of the individual who's having the racism occur, or doing it, because it is something that they're doing. Right? So this is, to me, what we're working with. That's the racism part. And it can be applied to anybody. I could be racist against black people, but not to white people. I could be racist against certain types of white people that I'm like, oh my God, because of you like this, and then I will see them that way. I could be racist against Asians. They could be racist against me. Ancient Egyptians could be racist against whomever. Columbus could be racist against Indians. Australians racist against Aboriginals. We can have Hungarians racist against Dutch, racist about everybody in Europe. They can just commingle and racist each other, and then everybody else. So they can fly around. But what is the stuff that is flying around? It seems to be nothing more than a thought. A very powerful thought that is applied broadly across an entire race of people. And it affects the sight and the perception and the whole thing. And then I think where people have a problem is there's hurtful things happening. And they blame the racism, and perhaps there are aspects of a system that is inherently broken and not functional for certain people of certain types of race. I don't know. But I do know that the racism itself is in the human being that does it, and it is non-objective. So then, how do we fix the problem, if there is indeed a problem? Okay, so I've discussed, digging into racism itself. Got that. Use the video for you to dig into it and consider what it is for yourself. Okay, I don't need a report back or anything like that. You're welcome to comment, like, share the video, all that stuff. So then what if there is a problem? What do we do about that? How do you get somebody to change? See, because there's a lot of like social justice flying around, and they're trying to get people to change the way they think. But how do you stop somebody else from being racist? What's the best way to stop them from being racist? Well, I guess in terms of human change, I would invite you to consider, since I have done a crap load of work looking into my own condition and looking into like humans and how they function. See, the power that keeps me being the way that I am is not, it's not weak. You know, for example, when you look out at your friends, haven't they always been very consistently themselves? Or you look at your parents, haven't they been like the same way since you've known them? Have you ever known anybody to be one way and then to flip and completely change and you see a totally different person? If you have, comment and drop me a comment. I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to this person who you've seen make an actual change. And I mean a fundamental change. I don't mean just like, okay, I'm this way and then I add some stuff on top. Maybe I get buff or something like that and change my diet. No, I mean fundamentally the human being that they are changes so that you see Ralph and then you go, that's not Ralph anymore. I've never seen that. Never seen that. I've heard somebody tell me they saw it once. Somebody who's seen a lot of people in this type of personal growth work once. It's incredibly hard to change as a human being. So if I want to get somebody else to change, the forces that I'm working with, if I want to get them to change, are incredibly powerful, and they are not likely to change, and they're definitely not going to change if I come on too strong and tell them how wrong and how bad they are and how stupid they are for thinking the way that they think. It's never going to work. It's not going to happen. Okay, so when you're changing or inviting somebody else to change, it's useful. You must have them allow themselves to be the way that they are. And then invite them to consider, what way are they? And then they have to decide to change. They have to decide that that's something that they want to do. And it's incredibly unlikely that that's going to occur. So just consider that about personal change, and like getting somebody else to change. I don't know what else to say here. It's just like there's I keep thinking about the Jesus quote. You see, he said, "Remove the log from thine own eye before attempting to remove the sliver from thy brother's eye." See, and in my mind, in layman's terms, in terms of personal growth and change, it means sort your own shit out first, then work on changing other people. But sort yourself out first. If you go around being upset at other people for their racism that you perceive in them, and then you blanket an entire population of people to be a certain way because, okay, they must be racist, that sounds a lot like racism to me. So then maybe by trying to force them to change because you think that they're racist automatically because of the color of their skin, then that is itself also racist. Just considering. And maybe we would be better served digging into what racism is, so then we could simply stop doing it rather than perpetuating it. Okay? So now obviously my last statement was a little bit, politically motivated or some such, which I feel is borderline should or shouldn't be in this video. I kind of I don't know. But it's like I have a genuine desire and intent for people in the world to be be able to control whether they are racist or not and recognize what it is so that we can stop hurting each other. That's also motivating this video. But we'll do what we do. Okay? So, if you like this video or don't like it, express it how you will. Bam, you want to get serious, check the links in the description. You're invited to more work. If you want to get serious, check the links. Please like and share the video, subscribe to the channel. Much love. I hope this has been an interesting consideration for you, and I want you to, again, use the video to consider. Not to draw conclusions or make a fixed belief about what I've said and the meaning it all has and all this stuff. No, I want you to consider what racism is for yourself. Okay? Much love. This is Brendan Lee with Consciousness and Skill Worldwide, founded by Peter Ralston. Take care.